Hello, this is Kinninigan from RagingReptilian.com. If you're here in the live chat, welcome. I will be live streaming this. Hopefully I can get through this lecture. I got over just recently being sick, and this is a lecture I've been wanting to do for a while because nobody, no conspiracy theorist out there, if that's what you want to call people like me, are talking about this Greenland theory. If this is true, it is probably one of the most important conspiracies on the planet because it means that Rome, Imperial Rome, is still in power today, and the Roman Empire never died. This book that you're looking at, and what I mean by getting through this lecture, I had a little bit of like congestion today, and I just got over being sick, so if my voice sounds a little congested, yeah. But it's been very cold in Philadelphia for the past few days, so. Anyway, the Greenland theory, what I'm going to do, this is a book that was written in 2014 by a gentleman named David Chase Taylor. The way he writes this book is a little different than how most books are written. He actually uses symbolism, gematria, numerology, and hidden codes within words and symbols to put his case together, and he goes into great detail about it. A lot of people may have heard me talking about the Greenland theory before, but when I point out some simple things that are right in your face to basically prove this theory is real, it is. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the kind of preface to this book to give you an idea on what the Greenland theory is. We're also going to talk about how Rome did stay in power. They do it mainly through their secret societies. And the other biggest clue, for example, is the Latin language itself, which we no longer speak in Latin. However, that is one of the biggest red flags, is just the Latin language itself. Why is every single medical term in Latin? Why are all of our legal terms in Latin? Why is every new animal and plant species that's been discovered or will be discovered given Latin surnames? Why is Latin written on your $1 bill? Why do we have Latin written on the Washington Monument? I'll get to that. Why, when you become a new initiate into a secret societies like the Freemason, are you called a neophyte? That is new initiate. That is Latin. Why is everyone, not just the United States, this theory spreads all across the planet. Why is there so much infatuation with the Latin language? Now, as far as I know, they don't even teach Latin in school anymore. I learned it in grade school, but that was going back to the 80s, and from what I understand, they no longer teach it. However, if you're going to be a lawyer or a doctor, you're probably going to have to take a class in Latin to the medical or legal school you go to, just so you can read the terminology. Because like I said, why are all the legal and medical and why are all these terms written in Latin? Right. And it gets even bigger than that. A lot of the red flags, like right in front of your face. Come on, why is there so much Roman-based architecture in Washington, D.C.? We'll get to that, and there's a reason why. So the Greenland theory. Let me read. I'm going to blow the text up here. The best way to describe this would be to read this introduction that David wrote here to kind of give you an idea. And then we're going to go through some of the obvious symbolism, which is right in your face. I was trying to get this web page to open up bigger, but it won't. I got this off I'm at a Google site. I'll put this link in the description. You can download this PDF from David Chase for free. He, ever since 2014, first time I read this was in 2016. But it is free to download, and he goes through all the symbolism, all the, and it's a lot to take in. I think the book is like 500 pages long, so we're not going to be reading the whole book, but I can't increase the text size here. I'm trying. It won't, no, the site won't do it. He originally had a website, The domain has expired. Yeah, it was greenlandtheory.com, and then luckily I was able to find it archived on Google's website. And you could still download the PDF right here. There is a download link for it. Greenland Theory, Apocalypse Now, explores the unrecognized but mighty conspiracy which has been hidden from humanity for ages, unfortunately to the detriment of all life forms which have inhabited planet Earth. Briefly, the Roman Empire, commonly referred to as Ancient Rome, evidently faked its own death 750 years ago, and now exerts command and control over all 206 nations of the world through its primary proxy state of Switzerland, home of the CIA, which was coincidentally formed in 1300 AD, approximately 715 years ago. Roughly 1300 years were added to the modern Gregorian calendar, taking the world to the date of 2015. The Roman New Year officially starts on April 1st, which is April Fool's Day. The 1300 years which were added to the calendar are commonly referred to as the Dark Ages, for they never saw the light of day. The capital of the Roman Empire was the city of Babylon. Yeah, he's also making the Roman-Babylonian connection, something that I've been doing for quite a few years. Modern-day Rome, Italy, and although it was publicly moved to Constantinople, modern-day Istanbul, Turkey, the true capital was secretly moved to the city of Thule, which was founded on the island of Greenland. The alleged fall of the Roman Empire and the notion that Greenland is mostly covered in ice and snow are both colossal hoaxes perpetrated onto the world in order for Rome to collectively deceive and survive her enemies of the day. For example, the Persian Empire, the Yuan dynasty, and the Ming dynasty, and for the Roman Empire to thrive unchecked and unabated. This is why today the countries of China and Iran have the harshest and strictest forms of totalitarian fascist rule, for Rome cannot afford to have the respective histories of these formerly great empires brought into the light. The Romanization of Chinese was not restricted to its language, which now features English-like characters. For example, 4, 6, 12, 43. It came after years of Roman aggression, to which the Chinese responded by building what is known as the Great Wall of China. The collective histories depicted in the Bible and in cultures commonly referred to as ancient Egypt, ancient Samaria, ancient Greece, ancient Babylon, ancient Rome, and the Vikings are the comprehensive historical evaluation of the same line or lineage of man, which originated from Minos of Crete in Greece. Collectively, these respective histories have been purposely altered, fabricated, and twisted in order to hide a millennium of fascist Roman rule over the Mediterranean, Europe, and now the entire world. The idiom, when in Rome, do as the Romans, is literally and figuratively true, as evidence of Rome's domination and rule over the world is readily evident in the architecture, calendar, currency, flags, names, numerology, universities, and symbols which currently represent almost every single entity on Earth. After all, Rome wasn't built in a day, meaning that the secret it takes a long time to do an important job could not be more true, as the world is ruled by modern-day Rome. Now, going back to, for example, the symbology being right in front of your face, there's a few he puts on the page here. I'm going to read through these. Like I said, for example, you may have seen these. We have these in the United States, and they're all throughout Europe. Greco-Roman arches. Although the Roman Empire allegedly fell 1,683 years ago, despite never being defeated by a military. A total of 142 Greco-Roman triumphal monuments have been identified thus far in over 40 different countries, spanning every continent on the globe in order to hide their true origins, affiliation, and purpose. Greco-Roman triumphal arches, gates, and gateways have been given local names and histories to mask Rome's triumph over the earth and their brutal domination over mankind. Greco-Roman columns. Yeah, why? And you got to ask yourself with the symbolism here. Why is there so much Roman architecture, even in our own country and all around the planet? As a side note, Rome conquered the ancient world through imperialism. So why would so many countries be looking up to the Roman way of life when basically in ancient Rome, they led the world in conquest. Rome is probably responsible for more deaths through military campaigns than anyone. Second coming to that would probably be the Greeks, infamously led by Alexander the Great, for example. I've talked about this before. There was a metaphor with Alexander the Great, if you know what he did in ancient times. I told people before, I believe that in ancient times, the reptilians, the Illuminati, what I call them, decided they were going to use the Roman way of life to further civilize the world, and they did. And that's why you're seeing all this Roman architecture everywhere. This is why you see Latin written everywhere. So you have the metaphor, for example, because Greece and Rome, well, he calls it Greco-Roman relation. They have a lot in common with each other. For example, Alexander the Great led a military campaign in which he marched on Babylon. He marched on Egypt. He marched on Persia. I believe those were metaphors that they didn't want to progress the world further into the Babylonian way of life or the Egyptian way of life. And so a lot of these ancient cultures died out, including, supposedly, Rome did too. We all know that the Vatican sits on modern-day Rome. It's one clue there too. So yeah, for example, take like Greco-Roman columns. You'll probably see these all across the country. Greco-Roman columns have been identified in over 177 high-profile governmental, legal, monetary, and political buildings around the world, including but not limited to Buckingham Palace, London, England, the National Capital, Bogota, Colombia, the Federal Palace of Switzerland, the Government Conference Center in Ottawa, Canada, the Great Hall of the People, Beijing, China. Yeah, why does China have Roman architecture? The Iranian Parliament Building in Tehran, the National Capitol Building in Havana, Cuba, the old Supreme Court Building in Singapore, the Reichstag Building in Berlin, Germany, the Royal Palace in Oslo, Norway, the White House, Washington, D.C., the United States Capitol Building. 42 of 50 U.S. state capitol buildings have the Roman columns. The United States Supreme Court Building has the Roman columns, and the New York Stock Exchange. Oh. Then we have the domes. You've probably seen this on top of the the most infamous dome it's written on here is probably the one at St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City, Italy, which is built over ancient Rome. Roman domes. A total of 1,114 Roman domes have been identified thus far, most of which happen to be religious buildings such as basilica, cathedrals, churches, mosques, and temples. According to the dome and the Roman architecture, development design, construction, 1985 by Jurgen Reich, the Romans were the first to build the dome. Today, a majority of the world's most important and recognizable buildings feature a Roman dome, including but not limited to the Dome of the Rock, Jerusalem, the Kremlin in Moscow, the Royal Pavilion in England, St. Peter's Basilica, the Taj Mahal in India, and of course the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C., and 40 of the 50 U.S. state capitol buildings also have domes. Right. What's up with all this Roman architecture all around different continents around the world, right? Oh, it gets more interesting. Then we have these. A lot of people think these obelisks come from Egypt, but they're more Roman in nature. And they're showing this right here. That is the Roman short sword known as the gladius, which looks a lot like the Washington Monument. I got something pulled up for the Washington Monument we're going to take a look at in a second. Greco-Roman obelisks. A total of 227 Greco-Roman obelisks have been identified around the world thus far. The most famous which are Cleopatra's Needle, London, England, the Vatican Piazza St. Pietro obelisk in Rome, Italy, and the Washington Monument. The first Greco-Roman obelisk-like structures were called triumphal columns, that's Trajan's column, with historical origins are noted around 113 AD. Naturally, the former Roman imperial capitals of Rome, Babylon, and Constantinople, which is in Istanbul, are still home to majority of these triumphal columns. The term obelisks, and what he does here, he does this throughout the book with a lot of symbolism. For example, B, L, S, and K essentially means Babylonian system kill, for obelisks mark the graves of millions who have been killed by the notorious Babylon system so that the Roman Empire can thrive unabated in Greenland. What does he mean by that? Come on, we know the founding of this country alone was built on a lot of blood, the Revolutionary War, mass human sacrifice, and that is the symbol of the Babylonian kill system. I'm going to show you something interesting about the Washington Monument. And Snopes was trying to fact check this. I don't know why. Why would Snopes? The Washington Monument. Give you a few facts about it. Did I have another? Okay. In case you didn't know, I'm going to give you a few facts on the Washington Monument. First of all, the Washington Monument is exactly 666 feet tall from base to tip, and I'm talking about part of the base that is submerged below ground, all the way up to the top. Our country was founded by Masons. One of Rome's secret societies, George Washington, was a Mason. Hence the Washington Monument, right? On top of the Washington Monument, they put an aluminum capstone. There's a little reference here. Every single Masonic lodge is aligned to point to the Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem, and so is the Washington Monument. But on top of the Washington Monument is a phrase that is, you guessed it, Latin. It is called Laus Deo. So even the founding of our country was heavily influenced with Latin terminology. And ask yourself why. Laus Deo means praise be unto God in Latin. And that is on top of the Washington Monument, built by the Masons themselves. Like I said, when you become a Freemason, what they call you as a new initiate is a neophyte. That is a Latin term. Latin is an interesting language for one reason. For example, if you notice anything about our Western languages, and I'm talking about not just English, there's a few of them. German, French, Spanish, English obviously being the most well-known. But all these languages are based on Latin symbols, meaning they use Latin letters to reconfigure new languages for the Western world. That's why when you look at Latin, like I'm showing you right now, you recognize all the letters. In fact, I believe I had it pulled up here. This will probably be one of the most infamous ones. This is the flag of Rome. Yeah, we'll talk about the eagle in a few seconds too, because that's another red flag about this. But their logo is SPQR, Senators and People of the Republic of Rome. And that's, yeah, Latin letters are used in a lot of our modern languages, except we no longer really use Latin anymore. Another infamous thing. This should be your biggest red flag. Everyone's seen this. Why do we have Latin on our $1 bill? Why is the Washington Monument capped with a capstone, just like we see on the back of the $1 bill with the Eye of Providence, saying Annuit Corpus, Novus Ordo Seclorum? This basically means coming of the new age, or I'm going to transfer that, the New World Order. Yeah, so even our money, and in case you don't know, the $1 bill has never been redesigned. We've redesigned all the other currency throughout the years, but the $1 bill has stayed the same. There's a lot of symbolism on the $1 bill. So this is, this is something that's been going around for a long time. People wonder, why do we have Latin on the $1 bill? Rome was imperialistic, right? But there's more. Going back to the, I had a lot of links pulled up here. You know what? I should probably close some of these out so I don't get too lost with pulling up all these links. Okay. I had a few things pulled up here I want to show you. When I read that introduction, this is what I mean. I had a lot of links open so I didn't get too far ahead of myself. Well, this is one of the things here. You heard him talk about Roman imperialism making its way to China. People think, oh no, that couldn't happen, right? Well, what are you looking at right here? Chinese Masonic lodges. Hello, people. Yes, the Grand Lodge of China. Rome has been ruling the world through proxies of secret societies. In fact, there is a secret society for very elite people called the Club of Rome. So basically, if you've ever heard that term, all the world's a stage. And me and other people tell you that a lot of your presidents, regardless if it's China, Venezuela, South America, Mexico, the United States, Britain, Germany, they're all, quote-unquote, on the level. That is a Masonic term. I even think, you know how the G is the symbol for Freemason? Makes you wonder if that G also means Greenland. Could. But then China comes out with another kind of anti-Freemason story that supposedly when communist China took over, they banned Freemason. That's bullcrap. They never yeah. Interesting, right? So yeah, if you didn't think, as secret societies were in China, and you could find if you're in a major city like me, like in Philadelphia, I've been down to Chinatown before. When I used to work in Center City, and going through Chinatown, yeah, I saw Masonic lodges here in Chinatown for the Chinese. So, well, the Masons are in all 206 of those countries that he was saying that Rome resides over. Right. See how this symbol, and this is how they've been ruling the world, is through the proxies of the Masons and other secret societies. But there's a few more symbolism, some other symbolism here. Just wanted to show you that. And then we're also going to take a look at some of the flags too, because that's another big red flag. So, Roman days and months of the year. I'm also going to put this out there too. Not just with the Latin and the architecture. Every planet in our solar system is named after a Roman god. Do you believe in coincidences? Why is there so much Roman and Latin influence on the naming of our planets, our legal system, our medical terms, our posse comitatus? A lot of people heard that. Yeah, that's Latin. Any Marines listening? Sic semper tyrannis? That's a Latin term. So is semper fi. Yeah. This is not a coincidence. Roman days and months of the year, based on the 13 signs of the zodiac. For example, the 13th sign being the zodiac cross itself, and their origins in both Greek and Roman mythology. The Roman months of the year were named after celestial constellations depicted in the cross of the zodiac. For example, Aries, Taurus, Gemini. While the Roman days of the week were named after celestial bodies, the sun, the moon, Saturn, This is why the figure known as Jesus, meaning Greenland's system, is often depicted with his head on a cross, the cross of the zodiac. We know, and I've done a lecture on how Rome hijacked Christianity. That's on my channel, if you're interested. Roman Jewish holy days. Although the Romans employ a 13-month lunar calendar, and the Jews in the Hebrew calendar, over 90% of the retrospective holy days, holidays, fall on the same date as in the Gregorian calendar. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but all 12 Jewish holy days, Hanukkah. I'm not going to read them all. My Hebrew is not that good. Coincidentally fall on Roman holy days. Therefore, it can be asserted that Roman holy days are in fact Jewish holy days and vice versa. The most famous one being Saturnalia, which is Christmas. Let's talk about a few other things. Not only do we have Latin all throughout our legal and medical terms, and naming of new animals are all given Latin surnames. Our own government is based on the Roman government, hence why we have a Senate. Rome had a Senate. The original Rome Senate was traditionally founded in 753 BC and is still ceremonially active today in the Senate of the Republic in Rome, Italy, formerly Babylon, celebrating the founding date of the Roman Senate in 753 BC. There are a total of 53 active Roman-spawned senates found in the world today. Afghanistan has a senate, Argentina, Australia, the Bahamas, Barbados, Belgium, Belize, Bolivia, Brazil, Burundi, never even heard of that country, Cambodia, Cameroon, Canada, Chile, Colombia, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Republic of Congo. Yeah, remember Rome, that's SPQR, Senators and People of the Republic of Rome. That's where you're getting that republic from. The Czech Republic, Dominican Republic, Egypt, Fiji, France, Gabon, Grenada, Haiti, Ireland, Italy, Jamaica, Jordan, Kazakhstan, Lesotho, Liberia, Madagascar, Malaysia, Mexico, the Netherlands, Nigeria, Palau, Pakistan, Paraguay, Philippines, Poland, Romania, Russia, Rwanda, St. Lucia, Senegal, Spain, Switzerland, Thailand, Trinidad and Tobago, the United States, Uruguay, and Zimbabwe. There are also 11 Roman-spawned senates which have since been abolished: Greece, Sudan, Kenya, Sri Lanka, South Africa, Argentina, Bavaria, Cordoba Province, Argentina, and Chad. I know there's a long list to go under, but the point is, why do so many countries have a senate that's based on the Roman government? Right? Then we have the obvious symbol right here. He's showing the Twin Towers, the Greco-Roman Twin Towers. A total of 111 Twin Towers, also known as the Pillars of Hercules, now have been identified around the world thus far, also known as the Columnus plus Ultra. The Greco-Roman Pillars of Hercules are most commonly depicted by the number 11, the letter H, as well as the original dollar sign. So, if you want to download the book and go into... Now, I'm going to put this out there about David Chase, because here's what I'm skeptical about. He's spot on with the Roman analysis that he does throughout this book. However, he adds a chapter to the end of the book, which for a guy that decodes a lot of symbolism should be a red flag, because it's actually chapter 13. 13 is an important number. We're going to talk about that in a second. There's a reason why the United States was founded with 13 colonies. There's a reason why there are 13 stripes on the United States flag. That is symbolic of the 13 Illuminati bloodlines. He doesn't call them the Illuminati in this book, but traces them back to being Roman bloodlines, again going all the way back to Babylon. He puts in a chapter 13, Planet Earth, where he goes over a few things here, but he is also a flat earther, and I'm just putting that out there. Why does he do that? And then he has an addendum, chapter 14, Conspiracy Theory 101, where at the end of the book he goes through major conspiracies, everything from Bigfoot to UFOs. Why does he add these 2 chapters to the end of the book? Why didn't he just keep it to the Greenland theory? I don't know. You got to ask yourself. Sometimes there are people out there that put out half-truths and half-lies, and they have to do it on purpose. Now, as far as the Greenland theory, I did a search just out of curiosity. I am the only one talking about this. There is no other conspiracy theorist that's talking about this. The only other thing that I found that was interesting was the United States tried to purchase Greenland in 1946. Donald Trump, yes, he just made a reference about wanting to purchase Greenland. They were going to give Denmark, which supposedly is the country controlling Greenland. Denmark has ties to the Vatican. We'll take a look at the flag of Denmark in a second. So they were basically, the United States wanted to pick up Greenland as a territory in 1946 and offered the equivalent of $1 billion because there's oil deposits in Greenland, there's uranium, there's precious metals such as gold, silver, and a lot of other things. But no. Greenland, and you don't hear Greenland being talked about a lot, do you? No, you don't. So, here's some obvious things. Let's take a look at the flag of Greenland. This is the flag of Greenland, which is pretty interesting because Greenland states that they are controlled by Denmark. Well, here's the flag of Denmark. We'll go back to the flag of Greenland in a second after I show you something. And the Denmark flag is also red and white, but it has the cross on there. He was just talking about the cross with the 13 signs of the zodiac. Going back to the flag of Greenland, you know why that looks familiar? Every electronic device that you might have, I'm looking at the button on my computer monitor right now. That is the international symbol of power, isn't it? Very noticeable. And it happens to look a lot like the flag of Greenland. Then you have the reverse, as above, so below. You know, that's why the it's reversed. So why does the flag of Greenland also resemble the international symbol of power? Why have people who have tried to purchase Greenland before, and basically, here's what I understand. I did, because I wanted to get some information. For example, he mentioned that the capital of Greenland is Thule. That is correct. But in Greenland, it's called Quanaq. Q-A-A-N-A-A-Q. Very hard. And that is Thule. That is, if you've seen, if you're on my Patreon and seen the lectures I've done on Nazis and occultism, I'm going to be talking about Nazis in a second because there's some clues even with them. The point I'm making is that the Thule was a secret society within the Nazis. We have an air base in Greenland. It's supposedly connected to Space Force, known as the Thule base. They also monitor all nuclear activity around the whole entire planet from Greenland. That's a pretty interesting fact there. You never hear Greenland talked about in modern news, modern politics. The other interesting thing, for example, to become a state of the United States, you need 60,000 people at least, but the population of Greenland, I believe it's only around like 38,000 people. It's not heavily populated, and the only populations are near the coasts. It's even more interesting. I was curious because Google Earth, yeah, good old Google Earth. If you try to look at Greenland, I was getting freeze-ups on this earlier. Hopefully it doesn't freeze up. Everyone knows you can go to like Antarctica on Google Earth and at least zoom in on the map and get land. You know, even though it's covered in ice and snow, you can get, you know, usually you can see stuff, right? There's been a lot of people making videos about Antarctica and stuff they've been finding on Google Earth. In fact, one channel I follow has been doing quite a few videos on Antarctica and stuff they've been finding. However, I don't know if it's... I come to Greenland, I zoom in, and you get nothing. It's just white. You get no... The only thing that you could see on Google Maps with Greenland is when you zoom in on the populated areas near the coast. Now, why is this important? In fact, I'm going to close Google Earth. It's a resource hog when it comes to my... Well, why is that interesting? Well, this is going back 11 years ago, 2007. There was an object that was floating around the internet known as the Greenland anomaly that was picked up by Google Earth. Now when you go to, this is why I was just showing you Google Earth. That spot I just zoomed in on was right here. So apparently what had happened, somebody had found this massive anomaly under the ice sheet in Greenland back in 2007, and they tried to debunk it as just a anomaly within Google Earth itself. But what a lot of people believe, this is zoomed in. One, why would it have that color to it? People believed it was showing a large installation under the ice in Greenland. Very interesting, right? Now you can't find this anomaly. That's why I was just on Google Earth. So they want you to believe, going to Google Earth, that yeah, most of Greenland's just a big sheet of ice. There's nothing to see. There is no land formations, no mountains, no nothing, which is highly suspect, okay? Like I said, you can go to Antarctica, zoom in on the map and see, you see land formations, mountains, lakes, all kinds of stuff. Can't find anything when you zoom in on the middle of Greenland. Very suspect, huh? So that came out back in 2007. No one's ever been able to figure out what it is, but I'm trying to see if they put on here the estimated size of the anomaly. It was big. Object measuring 79 kilometers. That's 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. So that's a big area for anyone. We go by miles. I'm not too sure of the mile conversion. I'm not going to figure it out, but you get the idea. It's pretty big. It wasn't just some small anomaly. And then now when you go to Google Google Earth, you don't see anything there anymore. So going back to the flag of Greenland, I want to show you one thing here. So he's got these, if you're going to download the book and look into this yourself, I'm not going to let this video run on too long. So he goes through the symbolism, and let me just show you a little example right here in the second chapter, Bloodlines of Rome, because this essentially would be the bloodlines of the Illuminati. But let me pull this up here. Do you think it's a coincidence that when we founded the New World, the United States, that we had 13 original colonies? And now supposedly the 13 stripes on the flag represent the 13 original colonies. Or does this go back to the 13 Illuminati bloodlines, which could be starting with Minos of Crete, the line of man first ruled over the island of Crete, the Mediterranean, the Greco-Roman Empire, and now the entire world. After the alleged fall of the Roman Empire, a total of 13 bloodlines from the lineage of Minos were chosen to vacate the Roman Empire in the underworld and move to Greenland. The number 13 was likely chosen because there are 13 months in the Roman lunar calendar, one family representing each month. The 13 bloodlines are also represented by the 13 letters within the name of Mediterranean. Interesting. Yeah, Mediterranean is 13 letters long. The region C from which they originated. The most common symbol associated with the 13 bloodlines today is the letter B, the second letter in the Roman English alphabet, which is constructed by the addition of the 1 and 3 yeah, 1 plus 3 is 13, equaling B. The line of man is also symbolically represented by the menorah, which is currently depicted in the emblem of Israel. And Israel is, he puts in quotes here, it's a combination of the words Isis, the Egyptian goddess, Ra, and El. El is a Sumerian god, Ra is Egyptian. It also represents the upward growing branches of the lineage of man, which has now grown to roughly the population in Greenland is 56,000 people as of March 31st, 2014, number based on the current population of Greenland. Now, you look at our American flag, and this is basically what he's saying, is that's why we had 13 original colonies. It's symbolizing the 13 bloodlines. I call them the bloodlines of the Illuminati. The reason why, for example, Israel is using Egyptian gods in their name, that also ties in with the pharaohs of Egypt. Like I said, these ancient civilizations died out, but the bloodlines didn't. The pharaohs ruling over Egypt have direct connections to the emperors that ruled over Rome, going all the way back to Sumer and Babylonia. Now, for an example, how does Rome pull off ruling the entire planet from Greenland? Well, they do it. For example, he's already mentioned Switzerland. That is the financial arm of Rome. Swiss banking, which was set up by the Knights Templar. This is why the Pope and the Vatican has Swiss Guard protecting the Pope. The administrative branch of Rome is Britain. This is why the entire planet operates on British maritime law and Roman civil law. If you want to practice or become a lawyer in the United States, you need to take the bar exam. The bar is the British Administrative Registry to practice law. And all your legal terms, like I said, when you go to school, they're all going to be written in Latin. Yeah, you remember Britain? The ones that we kicked out of the country for being tyrannical? That's why I said the Revolutionary War was more likely a big blood sacrifice, and that's what he was saying, and that was what the obelisk was symbolizing. Yes, and the mystical branch of Rome is obviously the Holy Land, Jerusalem, where Israel is. So they use these three proxies. Basically, you have a financial proxy, you have an administrative proxy, and legal proxy through Britain, and the mystical proxy. A lot of secret societies, including what the Masons follow and learn about and practice, is based on a lot of Jewish mysticism. We obviously know the relationships with the Romans and the Jews going up to the crucifixion of Jesus. I've made a few videos on that subject. But it gets even more interesting. Here's one of the most infamous pictures in history. And please, flat earthers, I don't want to hear this was photoshopped by NASA. It's not the point of the picture. The point of the picture is the symbology, which is more important. In all honesty, I can care less if the picture is authentic or not. The eagle has landed, right? The symbol of Rome is the eagle. The symbol of America is the American eagle. The symbol of the Nazi Party was the eagle. A lot of law enforcement badges have the eagle on it. What does that mean? It means you're under Roman jurisdiction. They also name the missions the Apollo missions, which is a Greek god. You'll notice a lot of, what's the fascination with the Greek and Roman gods, even in our own space program? Looking at this picture now, and what I've just went over with Greenland, the eagle has landed. What does that quote really mean? Well, you're looking at planet Earth with the quote, the eagle has landed from the moon. Does that mean the eagle has full superiority over the entire planet? The eagle being Rome. And to me, when I look at this picture now, that's symbolic of saying, hey, we rule the entire planet. Now he goes into a some of the symbols of Rome here, one being the eagle. And Yeah, there's a lot. Like I said, when you go through this book, it's not like reading a normal book where someone's like writing. This guy is pointing together all the symbols right in your face. It's a lot to take in, I know. Basically, he's just pointing out on this page here, it's a lot to look at. All the people using symbology of the eagle, going from the Bible to, yeah, it's a lot to take in. Eagle mascot, my home team. Look, Philadelphia. That is a Greek word, actually. Philadelphia was the capital of the United States of America at one time. And what is our home football team known as? Yeah, the Eagles. Or if you're Philadelphian, they call them the Eagles. I don't try to use too much Philly slang in my videos. So what does the eagle go back to? Well, as the point he was making from Babylon, this is the Anunnaki with the eagle's heads, going back to Babylon. Then, yeah, so now the eagle has landed. The Nazi Party also used the eagle as their symbol. The American symbol is the eagle. Now, there's two purposes of the eagle being used as the symbol. One is the closest thing to a reptilian that they can put on there and get away with. And two, it's a symbol of Rome. And a lot of avian symbols are used throughout the world, whether it's the phoenix, the double phoenix, the falcon. The unicorn is also a symbol of Rome. You'll see that heavily throughout a lot of statues in Great Britain. He goes over the symbolism of the unicorn in this book. The dragon, obviously, you see a lot of dragon symbolism throughout Asia, even in England. I've even seen a documentary, I'll give him props. David Icke did a documentary I seen way back where he was just walking through London, pointing out all the dragon statues. He said, why there's so much fascination with dragons in England, especially London? Because the dragon, the eagle, they're kind of the same symbol. We use the eagle in the Western world, whereas in Asia, they're going to symbolize it with the dragon, obviously. The eagle is not a noble bird. It's the closest thing that they could put to the Anunnaki head and get away with it. Just, you know, as a reminder, if you really think this is crazy and a lot to take in, you need to start asking yourself questions. Why does the Greenland flag look like the international symbol of power? Why is there so much Latin being used in the world when supposedly we don't use Latin anymore? But every legal term, every medical term, if you discover a new animal, fish, or a plant, it's going to have a Latin surname. It's just fact. Like I said, if you go to legal or medical school, a lot of your medical terms are going to be written in Latin. Latin is also the preferred language for a lot of high-level rituals, especially in the Vatican. Just saying. The Pope even recites a lot of stuff in Latin. So why is the Pope using Latin? And supposedly they broke away from the Roman Empire, right? Right. The Latin word actually for Latin, the Latin word for Latin, yeah, get your head around that, is latium, is how, now I know Latin a little bit because I was actually taught it. I don't remember good, but we were taught it in grade school, and I'm going back to the 80s, but like I said, they don't, as far as I know, they don't teach it in public schools anymore. I went to public school, yeah, big deal. But if you want to get into the legal or medical fields, and remember, when you become a doctor, you take a hermetic oath to the gods and goddesses. Yeah, why are doctors taking an oath to the god and goddesses? When supposedly in America, we worship one god, right? Going back to the Washington Monument and Laus Dio being written on it, praise be unto God. Interesting, right? We know that your currency has Latin written on it, going back to the $1 bill. And I think I'm only starting to scratch the surface on this conspiracy, because like I said, if this is true, this is one of the biggest conspiracies. It's been around for a long time. Also going back to the Dark Ages too, When he said that 1300 years of missing history, that is true. According to scholars, we lost a lot of our history during the Dark Ages because people didn't keep records. Right. The theory is that they changed the dates of the Gregorian calendar, actually. We have like 1300 years of missing history that no one can account for, known as the Dark Ages. And that's when David Chase Taylor suggests that Imperial Rome moves to Greenland. And they did it with the help of the Vikings. There's a close relationship between the Vikings and even Rome in this, and he makes the case for it. Supposedly, Greenland was discovered by the Viking, was it Leif Erikson or Eric the Red? I forget the one. But supposedly he's the one that finds Greenland. Like I said, Greenland pretty much stays neutral out of world politics. Even President Trump just made a joke about wanting to buy them. Apparently in 1946 we tried to buy Greenland because of the natural resources and it was shot down. And think about it, if you really wanted to hide, it'd be the perfect place though. But the symbolism is all right in front of your face. Everything from Latin to the architecture all throughout the world. You think it's a coincidence that, like, going back to the beginning here, just talking about the columns used in Roman architectures and the arches, why are these found all throughout the world? Why does the Iranian Parliament building have Roman architecture on it? Yeah, think about that one. And then going back to the dome. Very interesting. Why do obelisks look a lot like the Roman short sword? And he says it's a symbol of imperialism. And of course, there was a lot of blood spilled in the foundation of our country. That's what he's saying. The obelisk is symbolic of some other theories on the symbology of obelisks. People think they're mainly Egyptian, but they're not. I've known about Trajan's column for a while. I believe it's one of the, I don't know if it's a wonder of the ancient world, but it's a well-known ancient site, Trajan's column. And of course he goes into this. This is one of the most important ones, going back to the Masons. You have the secret societies of Rome. But, oh, okay, he's got them under here. The B'nai B'rith, Dominican Order, Franciscan Order. There's a lot of these are written in Latin. Fiduci, and some of these you probably have never heard of. The Knights of Columbus, Knights of Parthius, Knights Templar, the Ku Klux Klan, Martinist Order, the Masonic Order. That one I can't even pronounce. Yeah, there's a lot of secret societies. I think we get that idea. The Rosicrucian Order and the Society of Jesus probably being the biggest ones connected right to the Vatican. And that's how they've been rolling. This is why you have Masonic lodges in China. This is why Masonic lodges are in all 206 of those 206 countries he was just talking about. And basically, all the wars and everything we've been doing has just been one big charade for Rome. All world leaders are probably on the level, if you know what I'm talking about. But I think there is an exception, as much as people might want to hate hearing this, but I think there is an exception when it comes to Trump, though. And remember, Trump just made a statement in the media about wanting to buy Greenland. What was going on there? We know that the Democrats have foamed now the mouth to bring in the New World Order, which is planned that probably was engineered by Rome because the population of the world is getting too big. So, you know, World War III breaks out.